of experience. They don't necessarily pick people who just have skill. They don't just necessarily pick people who are probably aged or old. They pick people who they feel have this charisma that looks like them, that feels like them. They look at people that feels like the brand. They look at people that feels, and that's why you find out that children are looking for your mode before your expertise. Children are looking for the mode you are in. Is this person passionified? Is this person full of passion? Is this person full of presence? See, if you were to ask you which that you love the most times you find out that your responses will be attached to some things. The teacher poured themselves out, or the teacher took you as a person. The teacher gave you extra time. The teacher loved you. The teacher disciplined you. That is talking about the exigencies of having a mode. So when you imagine a teacher who has the right mindset, who has the right mode set, and then the third thing that you need to understand is the third key, a teacher who now has a mold. Please understand, you're not yet a great teacher if you cannot birth greatness in the kids. You're not yet a great teacher if you cannot birth greatness in your proof. So if I look at the children that you teach, if they are a shadow of something else, that's not it. If I look at the children that you teach, if you cannot replicate greatness in them, then that's not it. If I look at the teacher and the children that you teach, if you cannot safely transfer knowledge to them, then that's not it. So you need to understand, it's not enough for you to celebrate prowess of knowledge. It's not for you to celebrate prowess of understanding. It's not for you to celebrate certificates hanging all over your Facebook page, all over your home, all over your profile. You need to take that mindset into a mode set and then begin to mold children, begin to mold people that come around you. So when your colleagues look at you, they say, this is an industry role model. When your superior looks at you, they say, this is the dream teacher we've been looking for. When the children themselves look at you, they say, this is my favorite teacher. And when the regulators, the administrators, the commissioner of education, whoever picks you up, they say, yes, 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 this is the person that actually is the right kind of person that should be in the profession. And when parents also look at you, they say a prayer for you. And then you remember, people say the reward of a teacher is in heaven. But when we say the reward of teacher is on earth, it's because it's only few teachers that can get the reward on earth. And it's the teachers who are able to pour a mold. See, so many children hate mathematics today, not because of mathematics in itself, but because of the mold that they were made into. Mathematics became a problem to them. Therefore, they did not want to do anything relating to mathematics. I need to understand this. Your mindset is important. It's a key to open doors in your career. Number two, your mode. You always must be on an execution mode. Number three is the mold. You must understand, with the responsibility of the knowledge you're getting today, there's a responsibility for what? Transference of that knowledge. With the mentorship you're getting today, there's a responsibility for what? For transference of that. If you've been mentored, you must be you must mentor. If you've been raised by BAF, then you must raise children. Then you must understand there's a responsibility of professionalism. If they can take professionalism into what you're doing today, you also must understand you must transfer that. They say, to whom much is given, much is required. To whom much is given, much is expected. To whom much is given, much must be experienced. I repeat, much is required, much must be experienced. And listen, it's a practical thing. Those are the three keys. And I'll end with the fourth one. And the fourth one will unlock all doors. It's a master key. Please understand. And I'll use personal examples if you permit me to do so. The fourth key is one that everyone must not miss it. The fourth key is simple. It is called the magic. You know, when you have your mindset right, you open doors. You have your mood set, you open more doors. When you have your mold, your proof, you open more doors. But guess what? Okay. Hello. Sorry. I think there was a network challenge. Hello. Can you hear me? I'm back. Hello. Yes, you can. All right. So sorry about that. I started by, let me just recap and then I'll end with the fourth one. I said you have 4 keys that I'm sharing with you. And the first key is the key to the mind. That's the mindset. And then you need to set it. The second key is the key to your mode, the mode of delivery. And then the third key is the key to your mold, M-O-U-L-D. And of course, the final key is the magic. And I said that a lot of us might have many things that we call it common denominators. There are things that are common to us. We teach. Teaching is common to us. We have children. They are common to us. We have the curriculum. The curriculum is common to us. We have our lecture notes. We have our lesson plans. Those things are common to us. However, one thing that is not common to all is the magic. There are teachers that come with an extra, and that extra is a magic to them. It's a magic, the magic of their persona, the magic of their tonality, the magic of their personality, the magic of their attitude, the magic of the things that you will find out that it's not common to everyone. And with them, there's a signature to what they do. They put their spirit, they put their heart, they put their mind in it. I like to call it the science of execution, because at that point in time, they are not on the act of teaching. They are not on the art of teaching. They are the place of the science of teaching. And you need to understand, even if you don't have physical promotion, you can promote yourself at the level of expertise and expression you give to yourself. Even if you don't have increase in money in what you are doing, but you can promote yourself to the level of delivery, right, that you have. And you see, if you are able to go through all these things, I can bet it that you will come out with, an exceptional track record in your profession. You will come out with proofs that people would see you and say, you know what, this is the kind of people that we need to teach children, and this kind of people we need to model learning, right? And I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to help anyone out there to understand that, look, what you've been looking for, actually been looking for expression inside of you. What you've been trying to see as an external stimuli is actually dependent on you. Give yourself the permission to succeed. Give yourself the permission for expression, and give yourself the permission to be a great teacher. I believe you can. I know that you can, and I'm sure that you will. Thank you very much. Thank you to BAF Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to share my mind with you all, and I hope you found it useful today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Eyitayo. Can we please put our hands together for Mr. Eyitayo? Let me see you clap, 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 and then say thank you. Type thank you in the chat room. Thank you, thank you. And as you're typing thank you, can you also remind us of the 4 M's, the 4 M's that will take us to the objective of this whole 7-week webinar series. The 4 M's, that was an amazing 15, 18 minutes by Mr. Eyitayo. Thank you very much, sir. Mind, mold, and magic. And I think that last one killed it all. The magic, it is not common to everyone. It's your personality, it's what makes you very unique. Thank you very much, sir. We really hope we can have a fuller session with you. Let me make this open request that you come back at some point to dish out maybe, let's say, a 60-minute session, with our registered participants. We really, really want to see you again. God bless you. We pray that you continue to increase on all sides. Okay. All right. So quickly, thank you to all of you who, yes, the key to the mind, key to the mode, the magic, and thank you very much. I hope you're going to utilize this, make use of it, as you progress in your various careers. Thank you. All right, let's quickly move on, because Today, we don't want to go beyond 5 p.m. Last week we did, and we're trying to model the right thing, right? We want to put on the right mindset, which is the mindset of sticking to time, okay? So I'm going to just quickly run through the profile of the next, the first speaker, or should I say the next speaker, since we already had the keynote address speaker. And that is a person of Mr. Ezekiel Louis Olubanjo. Let me just take us through quickly. Sorry, this slide didn't come up the other time that I was reading Mr. Ayitayo's profile. So Mr. Louis Ezekiel Olubanjo, he is a teacher, education specialist, and an avid promoter of education for relevance projects in the 21st century. His area of specialization includes teacher development, learning and pedagogy, classroom management, scenario-based learning and design, and educational evaluation. He's an experienced teacher of over 2 decades, a school owner and administrator, trained in the University of Ibadan, University of South Africa, and University of the People, USA. Over time, he taught the Nigerian, British, and international curricula, both within and outside Nigeria. Lou Ezekiel is the lead consultant for Global Relevance Education and Development Initiative. He has done numerous teaching, training facilitation, and with Lecturer Education Trust, IRA Curriculum, Bumeledayo Foundation, Lagos Teacher Induction Program, the Project 1000 that most of you know, and Nurture House, amongst others. Today, Mr. Ezekiel, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so that we can put your own screen up. Today, Mr. Ezekiel will be taking the session, the Learning Environment Design. The Learning Environment Design. Mr. Ezekiel, please, you have the floor for the next 30 minutes. I hope you have been made a co-host. If not, kindly just unmute yourself while I do that quickly. Unmute yourself while we put on. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been presented already, and thanks so much to the Bumi Adedayo Foundation. Mr. Martin, thank you very much. Yeah. Starting this, what we're talking about is the learning environment design. Yeah, when you talk about this, a lot of things actually go into it. Yeah. First, oh, very good. Thank you very much for the screen. Let's get to the second disk, second slide, please. All right. Now, let me just give us quickly the learning outcomes, of this particular training. You will be able, at the end, you'll be able to plan your lesson or teaching from a more broader perspective. And secondly, also, you'll be able to align the various learning environments, the various learning environments in connection, with the learning activities. And then the third one, you will be able to solve. Sorry, something is covering the learning outcomes. You'll be able to solve classroom challenges, as they are related to the different learning environments. And finally, you will also be able to begin to appreciate the place of scenario, in depicting the classroom environment. Now let's have the third slide, please. Now, when we talk about learning, people have different views, different ideas. But please, I would like just to ask a question, and then I would like your contribution. What do you really think learning is? When we say learning, what do you really think it is? What do you really think learning is? Let's try to look at what we have on the screen there, just to answer a little bit. I'm awaiting your response. What do you really think learning is? Like I earlier said, people have different ideas about it. So which of the following sets do you think best define learning? An enduring change or experience, though I'm yet to define it, yeah, but I want to have an idea of what you think it is. Yeah, ability to adapt to change, yeah, from Mr. Michael, thank you very much. Ability to adapt to change, I can see that. So whatever be your response, so that we don't take much time, let's get to the next slide, where I try to adapt the definition of Dale Shunk. Dale Shunk. For Dale Shunk, it described learning as an enduring change. Yeah, I love this also from Ibukun, permanent change in behavior. Yeah. So it's defined like as an enduring change in behavior or in the capacity to behave in a given fashion, which results in from practice or other forms of experience. If you notice one thing, the definitions I'm saying, someone is saying here that learning is to acquire specific knowledge to solve problem. Yeah, that is really true. That's also true. In the strictness, I'm realizing that no specific answer may be totally wrong because there is no specific definition. There's no one definition. But in the definition given already here that I've given, Dale Shunk indicated 3 major elements in the definition that I would like us to note. They are very important. If you're talking about learning, it has to involve change. That is number 1. If you talk about learning, learning usually will endure over time. Yeah. And finally, if we talk about learning, it is expected that it occurs through a particular experience that you might have passed through one way or the other. It could be classroom teaching or whichever other kind of experience. Now let's look quickly at our major destination, the learning environment. I think it's a good question to ask here. If I start by saying, what do you think a learning environment really is? But before you give me any definition, I just want to emphasize one thing, that if a teacher really wants to make sense, with teaching, in order to cause learning to happen, it needs to have a good understanding of the learning environment. Although from the word learning environment, one can presume a definition, but what do you really think learning environment is? Now, I would like to describe this, in a simple way. Yeah, while I wait for for what you think it really is. Yeah, I would like to describe it, as a kind of a diverse context in which learning could take place. The environment, different contexts in an environment where learning could take place. As we know it, learning does not happen just in one place. Yeah, I love what SAMR Ibrahim is giving. Is a place where, okay, that's gone already. Another contribution, the atmosphere in which learning takes place. Yeah, so students can learn in various settings. For instance, it's not limited to the classroom. As a student, you can learn out of school in different locations. Yeah, someone said that learning can take place in any setting. I love that. Even at home, even if you are on a journey, learning can take place. Now, if I can just ask quickly here, as I see what you're writing, where else do you think learning can take place? Apart from what has been written so far, someone wrote on the road, in the field, I have another one here. A cultural context approaches diverse physical. Okay. Yeah, that's very good. Online. So in the strict sense, there are too many places everywhere. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Now I want to try to take you through a simple imagination now. Next slide, please. A simple imagination. Now imagine that the only place where learning could take place, is the classroom. What do you think are the likely implications for that? If, for instance, the only place where learning can take place is the classroom, what do you think could be the implications? I indicated here, teaching. The first thing actually that I noted, limited knowledge, that's good. I have that, limited knowledge. Lots of learners wouldn't even learn at all, yes? Yeah. So it limits learning If it's only one place, like we have it there on the screen, they will say there may not even be any fair inquiry. Yeah, restriction of mind, that's another one, very good. Yeah. So being caged in thoughts, yeah, that's very good. Yeah, implication of learning, learning become constrained. You don't enjoy learning. So, from all this that we are saying, when we see that we can have a kind of clear idea why learning environments should be given unique consideration. Yeah, if a teacher is involved, yeah, in teaching, and then it does not have idea of the learning environment, I think there is something that needs to be worked on. That is very important. So when somebody's saying here that it depends on what you say a classroom is. A classroom doesn't necessarily have to be the four walls. Yeah, it could be a wonderful environment. That is it. So in the strict sense, these implications, are very, very important to note. If we imagine that classroom is just the only environment where learning could take place. And that is why we are emphasizing here that, we look a little bit through, the common and different types of learning that is usually talked about. The 4 types of learning, next slide, please. The learning environment, we have the community, community-centered, knowledge-centered, learner-centered, and assessment-centered. Now, one thing I want us to look at in this Venn diagram is this, they are interwoven in a way, which means standing simply on one environment does not make learning to happen in a balanced way. Yeah, they are all connected one way or the other. A teacher that teaches, with a kind of interwoven nature of the learning environment will actually have better results. Now, looking at this form, I quickly, gradually as we move on, I will be making a clear reference to each one, but I want us to see learning environment more from a highly broader perspective. Now, if you go to the next slide, we have, the different learning environments. If learning environment is what we have truly called it, there must be some implications for teaching, for planning teaching. In planning a unit to teach, it is necessary that the teacher should build his or her reflection around the different possible environments in which students may learn the concept to be taught. We earlier said one thing from the various responses that we've been having, that, you are not limited, to learn in just one simple situation. You can learn outside, in the field, on the road, whichever place. When a teacher is planning a unit and you restrict yourself simply to one environment, it does not help. Students get bored. And the issue of planning should take into consideration which environment could favor what the child is trying to learn. So this is very, very important. So, when this approach, is applied, it broadens the horizons of the student's thought and exposes him or her to a wider and balanced experience on the same. And that is why, I am personally for the idea of teaching in an interdisciplinary way. If you teach in an interdisciplinary manner, there is no doubt, that you will make reference to other environments to help the child or whoever is learning, to come to terms with whatever the unit is all about. Now, this does not happen only in physical context. In the definition of learning, it is not really limited to physical. Even in online teaching, you understand, in an online teaching context, the different learning environments also, they come into play. Whoever is planning an online curriculum will have to give attention to this also. But there is one important thing that I propose when you are dealing with online learning. It requires a teacher to plan using relevant scenario, placed within the context of the different learning environments. So, if you plan it this way, the online created scenario, it puts the student in actually a real life context that make things to go better. So learning actually is a lot of fun and it's good when the different environment is given consideration. Also, let's talk a little bit about the different learning environment, the second part now. Now, there's a question that comes to my mind. When we look at all these learning environments, there are some, the teacher cannot be in all the environments at the same time. or may not even have the total knowledge of what is happening in all the environment at the same time. Yeah, but there's a big question. Does the teacher have power over the different learning environments? I would like a yes or no answer. Does he have power, yeah, over the different learning environment? Yeah, somebody is saying yes, yeah, I have a no also. Someone says no, yeah, yes. Yes, 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 not directly, no, yes. Actually, it's like there's a kind of there's a kind of little balance. Some are saying yes, some are saying no. Yeah, but let's try a little bit of explanation and get certain things clear. Look at this. If at all you have said yes or you have said no, yeah, I would like you to consider one thing. It is obvious that the teacher teaches in the classroom. If the teacher is teaching in the classroom, he may not know what is going on in the home. The home is another environment. Yeah, the home is another environment. If the teacher cannot know what is going on in the home, which means she has practically no power over what is going on in the home. Yeah, there are some components of learning environments. Let's get this a bit clearer. Some components of learning environments, that the teacher may not really have full control over. Let's go to the next slide, please. Yeah, components of learning environments that the teacher may not actually, have full control over. Like there is another aspect, the learner's characteristics. Yeah. Yeah, the teacher cannot, as inbuilt in the learner. Yeah, if we see the diagram that is just beside there, yeah, we see learner characteristics there. There are a number of things that are very, very important, you understand, to the student that the teacher may not totally control. For instance, if we talk about, what the learner is bringing, yeah, into the educational setting, the teacher does not know about that, but she will have to find out. Yeah. Apart from that, also, the teacher cannot actually control the issue of diversity. Yeah, among learners easily. That is there, it happens, it happens. Yeah. Aside that, there are a number of things we could say, as we have it there. So it is not really, I would say easily that it is not really easy or likely, if I go the extreme, possible for the teacher to have full control, over certain things, as far as, the learning environment is concerned, especially the one that he or she is not really situated in. And that is why, I will say this again, that, there are few things she may have control over. For instance, it may be easy for the teacher, yeah, to have control over, the content, whatever she is teaching. And also she may have control over, how he or she is going to plan to support. Yeah, to get the support, to support the learner. That is for the teacher to think about. So having said this, I want to bring up a kind of practical situation, yeah, that I feel is very, very important, when you have to move and put all these environments together, and then how they affect, the classroom concretely. There are challenges that come up in class during teaching, as far as the learner is concerned, that the teacher may not really say. The teacher may not really say where exactly the problem is coming from. Actually, let me quickly come in a little bit. I just, there is a kind of simple question here, posed here, about full control. True, it's not possible, but control over the way the learner will react with the resources, yes. Now, we will still come to that. Actually, we will say that easily very soon when we are talking about, the challenges coming from other learning environments, how you handle it in the classroom. This is really worth thinking about. And it's a major thing that many teachers find difficult to develop a strategy to handle. I have a scenario here. Yeah, I have a scenario here, is a scenario of a particular learner, Shola. Shola is a football striker and captain in a primary, is a primary 3 student who loves to display knowledge. by talking spontaneously regarding questions that are not referred to him. I think a lot of teachers can actually identify with this. Before I call a student to make a contribution, shall I already voice this out at the end, thereby disrupting the smooth learning process for others. It does this in all, practical, it does in all lessons except in the math lesson. It slips or consistently distract others. Generally, when the bell rings for break time, it's often the first person, to move out with excitement, to grab the football from the sports room. So he's so passionate about football. So the teacher talked with Shola, and Shola agreed that he's exhibiting the above challenges. No problem, but that he will try to make amends. In spite of its promises, the behavior remains the same. I guess some of us that are teachers actually can easily identify with this. It's a possible problem that we have in a classroom context. You see a child, you see a student who actually, it's not that maybe the child does not display any intelligence, but the fact is he's not just interested at some time. This scenario, if you look at it very critically, it shows, next slide, please. It shows learning or certain behavioral challenges, in a typical classroom. Now, if you look at it very well, the root of the problem is traceable. It may be traceable to the classroom, not only classroom, to the community, which is the home. Apart from that, also to the learning motivation, you understand, which actually the teacher may not particularly be able to do much about initially, to the learner's personal characteristics, you understand, and many other, many other elements can add up to bring this, to make this happen this way. So if you look at the scenario very well, the scenario shows how the different learning environments can influence learning. How the different learning environment can influence learning. Now, if you have, sorry, please, the slide before, you've gone further. Now, if I may ask, if I may ask easily here, how do you think such a problem as this can be addressed? In your own view, how do you think such a problem as this, like the scenario we just presented, how do you think it can be addressed? Because obviously most of us teachers, we encounter similar scenario in the classroom. How do you think most of those can be asked? Okay, somebody's saying here, constantly refocusing. Constantly refocusing. Or setting classroom rules before every lesson. I picked something from that. But the big question in setting classroom rules before every lesson is this: does that not take time? Out of the time that is supposed to be allotted for teaching. Someone says here that such a student must be assigned a responsibility. I think I'm gradually in line with that. There's another responsibility from Eunice that change teaching methods or environment. From Chinelo, address via superset induction and follow up to capture attention again. Okay, do I have another possible suggestion here? Okay, let me just tell you a little bit about what I actually proposed here. There is a particular system called the contingency contract. Someone is saying it needs to be seated. Given extra work. Now, let me talk about the contingency contract, which actually is a system that I have applied in various contexts. And many people, one way or the other, they believe about it. They believe in that. Now, if you say contingency contract, what does it mean? It's an agreement. It's an agreement that states which action under which condition will result in specific outcomes. This is used when the negotiating parties fail to reach an agreement. For instance, you are telling Shola, you must not do this, you must not do that. But Shola is not able to help himself. He's not even interested. But at the end of the day, Shola tried, but it's not working. So teacher must come. We need to come into an agreement with Shola. And that is why I support the other person who responded and said, giving responsibility to the child. Let's see an example of a contingency contract. The next slide. A practical example of a contingency contract. Yeah, the one made with Shola. Now, this contingency contract is actually written down. Yeah, it's written down. And then at the end of the day, Shola signs and the teacher signs. Yes. Yeah, I love that parents and teachers must work together to assist, you know, because practically at home also, yeah, that is another learning environment. Now, let me come to the contingency contract a little bit now. You know, at every lesson, you know, this has been typed down now, that at every lesson, I will wait for the teacher to call on me before answering questions posed in the class. Shola agreed to that. If I participate actively in the math lesson, I will be allowed to participate in football match during break time. That is using motivation, what Shola likes, yeah, to make him change behavior. Then number 3, if I do not wait to be called before answering questions and do not participate actively in math class, I will miss all break time activities. You know, if you look at it very well, these are things that likely Shola may not want to miss. So you put it in a contract for him, he agrees. Yeah. So now there is an extra that the teacher will put at the end. It said, that is added. It said, I will have a bonus treatment of coordinating, selecting players at the weekly inter-school football competition if I observe the above agreement in all lessons 4 times in a week. You know, indirectly, the contingency contract, yeah, is like putting before Shola a particular condition, yeah, in order to do what the teacher expects him to do. I think this is very, very good. Yeah. Now, contingency contract, somebody's asking a question here, you know, contingency contract and then the virtual classroom. It will not particularly move, because, you know, the behavior, the expected behavior in a virtual classroom is different. So in a virtual classroom setup, yeah, we may create certain contexts, yeah, that may make the learner, to get attuned to what the behavior that is expected of him. You know, a different environment, a learning environment, there are different system or different strategy that will be used to actually make the child do what is expected. Now, let me just move to a final word to the teacher, which I consider also very, very important. The teacher needs to realize that the classroom is just one of the learning environments. Yeah, there are many others. So because of this, the teacher needs to be really open to consider the other environments when you are planning to teach. Sometimes you may not predict what you will meet in class, but you can plan with good understanding of the different environments, and then it will actually work in your favor in the class. Also, the teacher needs to note that learning becomes rich and fun when you give balanced attention to the different learning environments. And also, each environment has one or more rich characteristic that will enrich your teaching and cause learning to occur. So with this, I trust one way or the other that the objectives, yeah, that we have set. Someone is given a particular question. He said, in my online virtual classroom, if a student fails to activate his or her video, he or she will not. You know, that's actually a practical example, you know, a kind of response to the question that was earlier asked. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Louis. As we put in our claps and appreciation in the chat box, I want you to quickly take the poll on your screen as well. Let's use that to quickly test the knowledge that we have acquired, right? Which of the 4 perspectives of learning environment pays attention to the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs that learners bring to the education setting? Which of the following is not correct? Thank you very much, Mr. Louis Olubanjo. amazing one. My key takeaway from that was the contingency contract. That you have to agree with your student what you intend to teach, the kind of behavior that you expect of him or her. And I think that's something that would work, especially with the children of this generation. They always like to be carried along. They always want to have their say. They sometimes want to dictate what the punishment will be. And I think when that happens also, it helps discipline to be more effective. All right. Thank you very much, sir. We really, really had a great time. Please, your questions, like I posted earlier on in the chat group, kindly post your questions. The ones that have not been addressed will then be collated by my colleague Ovigwe, and then we'll take that during the Q&A session. While we answer that question, I would like to quickly share my screen one more time as we take on the next speaker. The next speaker is Mrs. Tolu Alalade. I'll just read through her profile quickly as we take our pause. Okay. And I hope Mrs. Tolu Alalade has been made the co-host so that she can just come up right after me. Tolu Alalade is the current personal assistant to the Honorable Commissioner for Education in Lagos State, where she also doubles as a member of the Commissioner's Education Transformation Team. Tolu Alalade emerged the best secondary school teacher in Lagos State in 2012. During her teaching career, she coordinated many award-winning science projects nationally and internationally, and has published many academic papers. Tolu Alalade is the founder of Sapphire Exploit 21st Century Skills Forum for Education, a community of practice where educators collaborate and share best practices for improved learning and teaching. She has been involved in training, mentoring, and facilitating teacher capacity workshops within and outside Nigeria. She is passionate about youth, propelling them to achieve outstanding success through critical thinking, guided discovery, and innovation. In doing this, she has invested in many youth through career fairs, excursions, and sexual well-being since 2010. Let me add that Mrs. Tolu Alalade is still a civil servant, and she's doing all of this to make a difference in our world. In addition to that, Mrs. Tolu Alalade is a member of the BAF faculty, and this afternoon, she will be taking us through a very interesting topic that I regard as a follow-up to what we just finished with Mr. Louis. She will be taking us to adapting your school curriculum to meeting the blended learning requirements. So as a teacher, you've just learned about setting up the environment. Now it's time for you to learn how to adapt your curriculum, right, to suit that blended learning environment, which is, I think, is a very, very, very important session. So Mrs. Tolu Alalade, kindly unmute yourself. Let me also quickly check to be sure that you have been unmuted. Okay, I just sent you a request to unmute yourself. Kindly unmute yourself. Okay, awesome. Would you want me to share your screen from here, or do you want to do that from your end? Okay, all right. So you have the floor, please.
Hello.
Yes, you have the floor. Please go ahead. I will share your screen. Just go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I greet all of you, and I say thank you to the Bumi Adedayo Foundation for this platform. And I hope we have our pens ready. I know we've been writing, beginning with the mode that we're supposed to change into. And now we have learned about learning environment, the kind of environment that we should create for learning. So now we'll be moving on straight to adapting your school curriculum to meet blended learning requirements. And this, during this session, we want to look at some few things that perhaps in the last presentation, the last series, we have been able to go over them in the time past. And we'll also be looking at what blended learning is, I'm on slide 2 now. Please share. Okay. I can't see the screen being shared. I saw it earlier. Q.
All right, just give me a second. I'll see to that now. I'll see to that now.
Okay, so while Mr. Femi Martins is on that, so today we're going to look at what I call the blended learning practice. Then we are going to look at some models that, when we're talking about blended learning and adapting our curriculum to blended learning practice, how do we domesticate them? Those models, please, when you see it, don't look at it as one big bill. No, it's not. But we want to domesticate it. We want to look at it in our own context. Then we'll be looking at digital literacy. Yes, we all know that digital literacy has to do with use of ICT, how we can, be able to use the information technology to our own advantage using tools. Then we look at the principles that guide blended learning practice. Blended learning practice is what I call BLP for short, an acronym for it. So then we look at the benefits that we have when we integrate it. But before we go on, I would like us to just have a look at this. Before we go further, let's just do this. I don't think that's the next one. It should be, yes, thank you. Let us quickly take that quiz while I tell a short story as it do. So there's a bridge called that goes over River Choluteca. River Choluteca is on the River Choluteca is a river that has a bridge over it, and that bridge was really made with so much wonderful architectural design. It's a superb bridge, but the bridge was built to last. All right, are we done with our pool? Let me see in the comment side. So River Choluteca happens to be a river that people look at and they so much cherish that they have such a river in their community. So what happens is that they built it to last. And then there was a storm, a heavy one, and everywhere was all over. There was no more. The river was overflowed and so many things happened. Then another thing happened, hurricane happened, then drought came and there was no river for the bridge, where there was a river before. So what happened is that the river ended up drying up and there was just a little flow of water. And now the bridge was just there in its edifice. And do you know what happened? The road to that bridge was not even accessible. And there was no way anybody could get to the bridge, the beautiful, well-built bridge, because it was built to last. But what I want us to take from there is that, are we built to last, or we are building to adapt? Are you built to last, or you are building yourself to adapt? Let me leave it there. I'll continue with the story before I go on. I think we can move on from the pool right now. Thank you very much. So let's get to the introduction. You see that picture there? The first picture is telling us about blended learning. And you see the blender. You can see a blender with so many wonderful quotations around it. You have in it, you have the online classes, you have all those aspects of face-to-face. You have what we call the technology aspect. You have videos that are sent to your students. You've got so many ways that you can make the learning blended. Can we click, please? Thank you. Hello? Yes. So when we say blended learning curriculum, we're talking about all that we're saying. How do you blend online and then face-to-face, sorry. When you're talking about online learning, then you look at the way that you use projects as assessment. You look at ways that the presentation of the learning. You look at how do you go about it. Is it that you have videos that you record, live videos or other digitally enabled opportunities that your children will look at? Is it that you give your instructions face-to-face only? Or some people will say, okay, I've heard about it before, is that I give online, then I take it out. Now, it is basically new ways of thinking, because right now, COVID-19 hit us like in a flash. We were not prepared. It was sudden. At first, we thought it wouldn't get to us because we're in Africa. But voila, it is on us and it is here. So we now have to deal with it. It's a new normal and it's something we have to live with. So you have a situation where you can have your class online and then you can have it offline. Now, the offline, I would say it could either be face-to-face, or it could be modes that you have established, maybe through video, you send video to your students, or what other things you can do is that you tell them to go online, to go and learn. You can as well use different methods and different ways to ask a student to learn. So this blended learning, it encompasses a whole lot, but we must look at it critically before we go on. It is a very good tool in the 21st century, and it enhances global citizenship, and it helps you to connect. Now, there are models that they use in blended learning, the models of blended learning practice. The first model, there are three major models, and the first one is just like blended presentation and interaction. You have to interact, you have your students having face-to-face sessions, and you blend the online resources. Now, because of the situation we have, let me use the example of the newly resumed students, our SS3 students across the state. They are in the school, but they are not fully in the school. They go at some point and then they go back home. Now, what you are doing in that, you can do in such a case is that you have something online resources you give to them when they come, and then they take it home. But what about those students that are home that the teachers cannot at all reach them? Then you have what we call the flipped curriculum. The flipped curriculum is the same thing as, instead of waiting for face-to-face, you just give your students everything that you want to give them online, through their email, through Google Classroom, or through different ways. Now, the module 2. The module 2 has to do with what we call blended block combination. The module 2 is a model where you blend everything together. You have your intensive face-to-face session, maybe once or weekly. So let me put it in this way, that you have school once a week. The students come to school, and what do they do during this? Their online tutorial and seminar that you have given them from home, they have particular time that they access that. Then when they come to school, you now make interaction, and then you do presentations. Okay, what did you learn? I sent you a PDF. I sent you some papers. Now, in our context, you can actually write up things and send to your students, and they will read it and give you answers, and they will send it back to you. It could be through via the parents that they are going out, they can bring it and submit to the school, and it could be any other way. Now, the third model of blended learning practice. That one too is super complicated for us here because of data. Some of you will say, data, everything. But that one is fully online. They use it mostly like in higher education. They do podcasts. They give them opportunity to have economous online tutorials. They meet with each other. They interact by online, strictly online. And they have discussion groups and so on and so forth. But we today, we're looking at basically the module 1 and module 2. Now, next slide, please. Under those two models, we have some frameworks. Because after model, then how do you make it happen? What's the system that you go about? So the first one is the complex adaptive blended learning system. It's a complex one. You see the picture on the screen. How many, can you just type for me what you can see there? I hope we're hearing me. Please, in the chat box, you can just tell me what you can see on that picture. There's WhatsApp, Okay. Yes. Someone said, okay, Ekiomado said Instagram. Okay. Remote learning tools. Social distancing, yes. Yes. There's one thing, flexible schedules, yes. Health and safety, yes, very, very, very key, because you have to know that you should keep yourself protected. You wear your nose mask, you make sure you use your hand sanitizer. Remote learning tools, health and safety, good, wonderful. I see that we're going with me. Thank you. I just wanted to be sure that I'm not the only one in the house. Personalization, yes, it has to be personalized. And blended learning is just hybrid learning. You make use of so many things, and then you get it done. This is another one. It's a comparative, it's just like self. When you're talking about self, you look at the social emotional needs of those students. Blended learning gives us the opportunity. Please, next slide. I'm on the next slide, please. Thank you. I can see we are all good in that. That's why I have to move on to the next slide. Thank you so much. So the community of inquiry is another one. This one is a framework that looks at a successful outcome that your students will be successful. No matter how you do it, because you now consider their social and emotional well-being. You look at their self, that they can manage themselves well. You are sure that they have relationship skills. The beauty of blended learning is that there is social awareness, there is responsible decision making. There's one other thing. I'll go back to my story briefly. Now, there was a person that got out of school with a first class. The person is an engineering student. She graduated with first class. And do you know that when she, at a point, she was given a job. She got a job because of her, skill and the way she was so articulate. But she couldn't keep it. She couldn't keep relationships. She couldn't mix with people. But this is something that blended learning gives us the opportunity to have. You have children having everything that they need to become a whole being. Next slide, please. Now, what are the components of the community of inquiry? When you as a teacher, you use inquiry. Inquiry means that you allow your students to kind of research. You let them be. You give them the opportunity to have relationships with one another, to interact, to be able to take their safety into their hands, and you make them use technology so that they know how to connect, they know how to use the phone. It doesn't have to be phone and smartphones only. You can use radio, television, like the lessons that we have on in Lagos State. We have radio and television lessons going on for people in the remote area. And we also have the success box. We have so many platforms where students can log on and just see what they can do using the internet. So all these designs, you integrate it into your learning, and it makes you have a meaningful learning experience. The safety of your students is there. You practice, you don't do something that is not ethical, meaning that is not proper. As a teacher, we know all that we're supposed to do. You still follow your principles as a good teacher, or as the qualities of a good teacher. But then you must ensure that skill development and training is going on. You yourself as a teacher, like what we're doing today, we are developing our skills. We are giving ourselves competencies. We're developing our competencies so that we can function as a good teacher that we are. Next slide, please. So I want to talk about the SAMR model. Yeah, please let us look closely at this model. It is for integration of technology. Most of us, we think that because they say digital literacy, then we jump into the sea. You can see the ocean, and you need to, first of all, look around and see what exactly am I in. That's the state some people are. Some people have left the place. They are in modification mode now. So S means substitution, A is augmentation, M means modification, and R is redefinition. So you have to first of all discover where you are. You have no tech. How do you go about it? Then you have to know that technology is a tool that you will use to make a change now. You need to arm yourself with technological skills. No matter what, you need to do it. It's something like the river, the bridge over the river Choluteca. That bridge was so well built and it's so superb that was no longer necessary. It was just there. It was left alone. Nobody goes there anymore. Don't let yourself become that bridge that nobody will go near you. You are so beautiful. You have made yourself a wonderful teacher in your own thinking, and you don't want to change. You need to change. You need to augment. You need to make sure that you use tech as a tool to help you improve. Then modification is when you begin to look at your own setting, because you look at your students that you're teaching, you look at the age of the student, the location, their environment, you look at what they have, the resources that is available to them, then you try to redefine by creation of new tasks and preventing all those things that hinder. Next slide, please. Now, as a teacher, you know, we have our teaching methods. We have what we call, you can say it's principle, you can say it's methods, you can say ways of teaching. We have so many also in blended learning practice, and you can see it highlighted here. You have the blended face-to-face class. This case, because of the situation, it could be via video or content you send to your students. Then we have blended learning online class. You can focus on that, where you have your videos, you create videos, you create podcasts, that is voice messages. Your phone can do it easily for you. You have the rotational model. The rotational model, you just look at, okay, this is my situation. Maybe today I'm going to go fully online. Tomorrow I'll use Google Classroom. Tomorrow I'll use WhatsApp. Tomorrow I'm posting YouTube videos. It could be just 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Or tomorrow I'm going to research and I'll ask the students to watch a video and then they'll give it to me. Then self-led is when you look at that child, like the other diagram we had. You look at the child and you allow the child to be taught the way the child wants. For instance, during this period, we have children that their parents don't stay at home in the morning to like 5. And we know we are used to that school as defined us. But do you know that this time we have to change? We have to blend ourselves to the new situation, the new normal. It's no longer business as usual. You can begin to create lessons for your child, for that student, during the time the parents are around, so that the learning can be meaningful and it can be lasting. The blended MOOC is just something like that as well. You look at the situation, you look at the environment, you look at everything before you go on to make your move. So before I go on, I think I've loaded so much. I want us to quickly take, to reflect, and please respond in the chat room. Yes, name 2 teaching principles that can support your learning activities for blended learning. Okay, MOOC is just like an acronym that you use different modes of communication. You use different modes, you use different ways to talk. You could use virtual, you could use music, you can use any form of method. Yes. Why is blended learning? I'm looking at the chat box. I want us to answer those questions. I'm not seeing any. Okay, flipped classroom, good. Yeah, blended online class. Can we relate it to what we can do? I want you to just give me like an example, creating videos for my students, creating podcasts, and using. Rotational learning, how do you do that? That's what I want to know. Edmondo, good. Yes. Flip Edmondo, Zoom, good. You don't use the same application regularly. I hope you can hear me. Yes. Google Classroom, perfect. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. Now, the technological tools you can use. I'm so happy with this response. I can see all your responses. Pre-recorded videos, that's from Fanny Care, Oluwafemi. Good. WhatsApp classroom, you use, oh, wonderful. Oh, I clap for all of us. Round of applause for everyone. I hope you can hear me. I want thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Wonderful. Yeah. Beautiful. So let's move on. Let's look at the benefits. I'm so happy that, oh, AZ recorder, wonderful. Same Zoom. Ah, we are so tech savvy here. Yeah, all of us were so savvy. That's wonderful. That's so cool. That's so cool. So now, can we now go on to the next slide, please? I see we're all wonderful. Yes, what are the benefits now? Let's look, since we all use this platform and we're conversant with them. Now, the opportunities, I'm sure we will have benefited from some of the opportunities. But I want to look at these few ones. I want you to look at it along with me. One of the as an educator is one, you have opportunity to collaborate at any distance. So you are not limited. You know, Mr. Do not leave yourself out, because to whom much is required is given, much is expected. You should have a mode now that is ready for execution. So learning without barriers. There's no barrier. You can teach children in America with a very good online platform you have created. Do you know that you can be teaching people beyond your school? It's not only your students that are your students. It enhances learning. The learning, everybody becomes virtual citizens. They can see and they can look at what they are doing. It is no longer business as usual. You can have opportunities of increasing interaction with you do is you just ensure that that child is or okay, kindly unmute. Oh, my mic is muted. Am I on now? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. So you have increased interaction, you have enhanced learning. The learning is no longer based on only what you see. Opportunity to learn more, and they can interact with one another. They can discuss, they can do research, they can and very beneficial to all. Now, I want you to tell me one of some methods that you have been using and what is the benefit you have derived as a teacher using all these blended learning platforms. Like the tools you have told me, I can see we're all very savvy. Many of us are using Zoom. We're using Google Classroom. We're using Edmodo. Edmodo is very practical, and it is a very, very sorry for that. The audio is going on and off. Okay. So sorry for that. Yes, you can use video, and when you give the video to your students, what's their response? Is it beneficial? Okay, Google Classroom and video. All right. I think it's network that is making my audio to go.
classes. Perfect.
Yes. Zoom, you used to. Yes, so I can glad Microsoft thing. Oh, wow. Sorry, it's technology. The audio is fluctuating. I guess it's the technology. Pardon that. You know, we're in the mode. That's why we must make it blended. You give them physical, you give them online, you do it. You don't use only Zoom every time. Today you can use Zoom. Tomorrow you tell them to interact with one another on WhatsApp. Tomorrow, you know, you just blend it and you become very flexible with your instructions. Wonderful. I'm very happy that I got all these responses. And with that, I think we're going to end the presentation. Having and seeing that everyone, okay, yes. Yeah, the students see themselves live. Okay. They collaborate. Yes, the children. Okay, the challenges that occur in use of WhatsApp, I think is very minimal. It's very minimal because if the child is not in class at that time, they can actually go back and check out what you have done, all the videos you have preloaded. They can go back and look back at the class, the lesson you have done. Edmondo. I said Edmondo from Miss Abiola. Yes, Edmondo is a wonderful platform. It is
you've got you got
issues with technology, but when you use things like Telegram, you can have more students from all over the world, and you have time.
Channel where they see what you have posted
in case you don't want them to give you too much problem. Yes, WhatsApp, no barrier of time. Definitely. Wonderful, yes, to reach your staff. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, they tend to learn more.
Oh, wonderful. Users. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you too. With that, I'm going to conclude. And you can read up some of those things we said and we talked about on the slide after. Please, can we have a change of slide? Thank you. Can we have a change of slide? Thank you. Some of those things we see there, we can actually look at how to use WhatsApp and Instagram on that link by the research by Alberto in 2020 is a recent one. They had a research and they were able to tell us the best way that we can use WhatsApp and Instagram. Yes, you can use Instagram. Our children, they are all there. Many of them their parents are there if they are not there, if they are young ones. And they can actually, at a point in time or during the day, you let the parents know, and they will be able to get on to check. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you very much. I know that we have learned quite a few things, some new things and some things that we have learned across maybe on your own. And I hope that we'll be able to make use of all that we have done, we have learned today. I see some questions. Okay, good. I think I'm done. Mr. Fleming. Mr. Fleming. I actually cannot hear anything. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
I'm actually waiting for Ovigwe to unmute me or make me a co-host. All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Alalade. Can we please put our hands together by saying more thank yous in the chat room? Okay, let's say thank you. Let's say thank you. We would like to appreciate you. I also assume that, or let me assume that Mrs. Alalade has taken all the questions for our own session. I don't know if that's the safe assumption. Okay. I don't know if anyone can hear me. Okay, so I assume that she's taking a lot of questions. Ovigwe, I'd like you to please come on so that you can quickly coordinate questions, just about 10 minutes, because we won't exceed 5 p.m. today.
Okay, sir.
10 minutes? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much to our speakers for making this session a wonderful one. Okay, right now we have only 3 questions because most of the questions they have been addressed by Mrs. Tolu Alalade, but I have one here for Mr. Louis. Mr. Louis, please, you can unmute yourself so you address this. It says, will contingency contracts work in virtual classroom or teaching now? I like it, though I don't understand what it is. Though I like it, although it's learner-centered. So, but I think the main part of the question is, will contingency contracts work in virtual classroom or teaching now? So that's the question for you.
All right. Can I go ahead to answer?
Yes, sir, you can.
All right. Now, contingency, the agreement, it will surely work now, even in virtual classroom. But, it depends on the way it is designed. In a virtual classroom context, you understand, there is need also to have rules that guide the operation of the classroom. Yeah, if this is known, you understand, you can bring in the contract, in such a way that, a student could realize, okay, this is what I'm to do, or that is what I'm to do. It is not a matter of actually giving a punishment by saying, okay, if you don't do this, then you won't be part of the classroom. That is not it. Yeah, but there are responsibilities that people share, even in a virtual classroom, that actually they like, and that could be used as a means of telling them, okay, if you don't do this, for instance, if you don't do your assignment, for instance, this is what happens, you may not lead so. The teacher must have actually found out clearly what interests the student. Yeah, most of the plan for contingency agreement is based on this. If you know what the student likes, you can use this as a means of making the child to do what you really expect the child to do. So it is a contingency agreement actually works in the now, in the present day, very well in many contexts. But the teacher must know how to design the contract. So that is it. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Thank you very much. I also have one more question for you. It says, how do you solve or help students who do not do assignments in virtual class?
That is part of what I've actually talked about. I gave the example of maybe a child is not really doing the assignment. You understand? One thing is actually the instructor should know what the child is passionate about. It is possible that even in a virtual classroom, the presentation style is not something that interests the child. So it is wise to really look critically at what the child is interested in and the pattern that flows well with the child. That is actually an environment that the instructor will have to study. Sometimes in a virtual classroom, the student may not do the assignment, likely because it's unnecessarily bulky. It is possible also, due to many reasons actually. So it's for the teacher to really look at what the problem is with the student, and see a way of actually coming out of it. It's like kind of giving more attention, you understand, to the learner. So with that, I actually believe, and I know for sure that the problem of assignment could be sorted using different methods, even in the virtual classroom context. So thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think there are more questions dropping on the comments section, so you can just do a brief response there on the comment section for those just dropping their questions right now. Then for Mrs. Tolu Alalade, I have one question for you that was sent in earlier. The person said, why is blended learning not finding its way into the Lagos State public schools? So I don't know. I don't know if you'd like to address that right now. Can unmute yourself, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you. So actually, blended learning is already in Lagos State. And that is why we have different television programs. There's a program, sorry, my phone is on off the hook, because there's a program going on right now that is called Total Education Show. And that show is put together by the Lagos State government to focus on co-curricular activities in the school. That, you know, normally we have academic and we have co-curricular activities. So that is a way of blending learning. We have academic content going on daily on Wazobia FM for children to watch and go along with it. We have content on the radio. That is a form of blended learning. You know, that's why I talk about domesticating it. In Lagos, here in Nigeria, we have some areas that you cannot reach via internet. The internet is very bad in those areas. So you use the means that is easy for you. You can even do worksheets. There are some places in Lagos, there's some districts that they are using worksheets. They have worksheets that they send to the students and they take it back to them. Look at the primary sector. Learning going on. You as a teacher, you should know your students, and you should have their contacts by now. We have our attendance register. By now, you can reach them through their parents and create a time. And I think, if I may say authoritatively, that we don't have any class in Lagos, maybe for secondary school. I don't know much about Subek, but I know they are carrying along the students. There are times they took things to the children at home. They actually went home to meet them. So blended learning is going on in Lagos State. Now it depends on you as a teacher. You need to skill up. You need to ensure that you use the technology, all that you have told me today. I'm so happy when I saw the comments, the kind of tools people are using. Try to use all these tools by yourself. Create a niche, carve a niche for yourself. There's no distance where I've said it. There is no limitation to your student. You can meet children from across Africa, yes, right in your parlor with this device in your hand. You don't need to go and buy a computer. Do you understand? No need to buy a computer, and everything will be working for you. So please ensure that in whatever you do, you make yourself relevant. Don't become the bridge over River Cholutera. That Choluteka bridge, I keep talking about it, right? You look inward, change your mode to execution mode, and then you'll be able to do anywhere you are. Find a means. The key is always do something. Find a means and do it, and God will help us. So it's happening in Lagos State, and it can still continue to happen better. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, adaptability. Thank you. I can see comments. People are telling us what is happening. Good. Massive open online course. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. You use different methods to do the online. It can be video, it can be Edmondo, it can be radio, anyone. Just make sure you put it in their face. Something they can access.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Alalade. Thank you very much. Thank you, Obigwe. Our time is fast spent, and we want to start descending today's runway. Okay, so thank you everyone for staying tuned till this time. I know you have options. I know you have other things that you could have done, but you decided to be a part of this session. I really hope that we need to mute our participants.
The voice is not audible.
Okay, so I believe that you have options, but you decided to stick to this session. So we appreciate. So why do we really do this? We do this because number one, we believe that no matter how much information is out there, sometimes it's way better to be deliberate about how we communicate, how we teach, how we mentor educators, and for the benefit of children out there. So we really hope you've learned something new. We hope that you're willing to go back home to go and try something that you haven't done before. And we also hope you remember the words of Rotimi Eyitayo, our keynote address speaker, who talked about you changing your mindset, putting yourself in a mode, in an action mode, and then deciding to mold the children, the learners under you, and then turning on your magic. We won't be able to take a lot of questions today, but sincerely speaking, I really appreciate those of you that have made it. And we want to charge you. As you leave today, we want you to please go and embark on a project. Put what you have learned into practice. It is very, very important, okay? Very, very important. As I speak, you have in the chat box the survey. We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to know what you think, about today's training. How can we improve on what we have, on what we're doing? How can we become better? Okay. So please take a moment to kindly repost the survey link again, Obigwe. Just keep reposting so that people will be picking. I think it's going up in the chat box. Just go to your chat box and click on the survey link. It's going to open in another window, and then you'll be able to take the survey. Okay, so we want to hear from you. We want to know how to improve on this. We want to know what we're not doing well that we can do better at. And you can also tell us what we're doing well, right? It's a little thumbs up also will go a long way. Quickly, let me show you what we have for next week, so that as you leave now, you go and mark a calendar for next week, Thursday, which will be the third week, of our webinar series. And like what you see on your screen, it's not too late to register. If you have friends, you have teachers that are yet to register, next week is going to be amazing. We have Mrs. Dideolu Adekogbe, somebody with over 40 years of experience in the education sector, and she's an active edu trainer, okay? She's going to teach us how to design a 21st century pathway for careers in education, okay? The old will not work for the new. And also we have Nancy Epezu, who is a lead consultant and also trainer, a member of the BA faculty as well. She's going to take us through etiquette and personal grooming for educators. It's amazing how a lot of teachers look down on themselves. Many years ago, when I joined the education sector, working as a non-profit project manager, I met a lot of teachers that said to me, "I'm just an ordinary teacher." They use those two words, just and ordinary. Okay, so you can see that they really, really look down upon themselves. So we hope that attending this series will give you that mindset that you need to change, and you'll be able to become a better teacher. Follow us on social media at Bumi Adedayo Foundation on Instagram. We want you to also, like our images, like our